Alright guys, it's time to talk about the other New York-based hockey team, the New York Rangers. They had an amazing regular season, and they followed it up with a terrible postseason. Now, in their defense, they did lose to the eventual Stanley Cup champions, the Pittsburgh Penguins. But because of their appearance in the postseason, some people are saying that the only two untouchable players on the New York Rangers is Ryan McDonough and Henrik Lundqvist. Everybody else should be available to be traded. No, they shouldn't. The Rangers are a good team. They just had some really bad luck in the previous postseasons. I mean, take this season for example. You told the New York Rangers at Christmas time that in the first round they'd be playing the Pittsburgh Penguins, they would be laughing in enjoyment. Unfortunately for them, in the second half of the season, the Pittsburgh Penguins were by far the best team in the NHL. And the Penguins continued their hot streak right into the playoffs and rode it all the way to the Stanley Cup. Now I can think of a lot more players than just Lundqvist and McDonough that the New York Rangers should not trade. Derek Stepan is a good young player. TJ Miller is a good young player. Chris Kreider is a good young player. Mark Stahl is still a solid top 4 defenseman, and Matt Zuccarello just had a breakout season. Unless the offer is out of this world spectacular, I wouldn't trade any of those players either. The New York Rangers should be picking at 20th overall in this year's NHL entry draft, but they aren't. The Arizona Coyotes are because of the Keith Yandle trade last season. Now, in my opinion, Don Maloney wasn't an amazing GM while he was with the Arizona Coyotes, but that was definitely one trade that he won without a doubt. The New York Rangers got a veteran defenseman for a year and a half. He doesn't quarterback the power play like he used to, and he's probably going to become a UFA this summer. While the Coyotes got a guy named Anthony Duclair who looks like a fantastic young superstar. He has amazing chemistry with Max Domi, and he can be a core player in the Coyotes for another 10 to 15 seasons. Like, is there even a debate on who won that trade? Now, looking ahead to this offseason, one thing I keep hearing pop up is, are the Rangers going to trade Rick Nash? And I mean, they can try. Now, when I first saw the trade about Rick Nash going to the Rangers, I saw that the big piece going back to Columbus was Brandon Dubinsky. And with all due respect to Dubinsky, I really thought that the Columbus Blue Jackets totally lost that trade. Now it's a couple years down the road, and I'm not sure if they did. Now, Rick Nash is still a fantastic power forward, and he can still put the puck in the net. But he's definitely no longer the amazing superstar that he was in Columbus. He's actually gotten less media attention in New York than he did in Columbus, and that's tough to do. Like, remember that goal he scored when he was still with Columbus where he kind of like deked out like the entire team got hit and he still kept the puck and then scored? That was on the highlight reels for weeks. Since he's come to the Rangers, I think I've seen him score maybe 2 or 3 amazing goals and that's it. Now, just because you're not putting up highlight reel goals doesn't mean you are a bad player at all. But when I watch him play with the New York Rangers, I think to myself, he's not as good defensively as he used to be. He doesn't go into the corners and dig out loose pucks like he used to do all the time in Columbus. And maybe the most important one of all, he's not as physical as he used to be, which is a pretty important attribute to have when you're a power forward. Now, I hardly ever miss a Maple Leafs game, and in the past 2 seasons, if I take all the Rangers and Maple Leafs games, I think I've seen Rick Nash drive the net like twice. Which is weird because every time he does it, it seems to create a good scoring chance. Now, Rick Nash's contract is only 2 more years at $7.8 a season. Now, is that an impossible contract to trade? No. Is it going to be difficult to trade that contract? Yes. But I mean, hey, if the Maple Leafs can trade away David Clarkson's contract, any contract can be traded. Now, yes, I know the New York Rangers haven't had a ton of playoff success since they last made it to the Stanley Cup Finals a few seasons ago. And yes, that usually indicates that there's going to be some changes. But if they can't get an amazing return for Rick Nash, which I don't think they'll be able to do with that contract, I say just leave him on your team until his contract expires in 2 seasons. Because he's not a great player anymore, but he's by no means a bad player. Now, when it comes to pending UFAs, they have Keith Yandle and Eric Stahl. Both of them are going to require a bit of money. I don't see the New York Rangers keeping either one of those players. The Rangers need to pay more attention to their 3 pending RFAs, Chris Kreider, TJ Miller, and Kevin Hayes. If I were to make my predictions on how much each player would be getting paid per season, I'd say Chris Kreider makes $4.5 a season, TJ Miller is going to make $3 million, and Kevin Hayes can make anywhere between $2 to $2.5 million a season. Now, when it comes to term on those contracts, I really don't know, but I don't think any of them will be a 1-year contract. Now, before I end this video off, I want to say something quickly. I've heard a few people say that the New York Rangers have wasted Henrik Lundqvist's prime because he hasn't won a Stanley Cup. Now, I don't think that's true. He's been widely regarded as one of the best goalies in the NHL for years. But if we have to blame somebody for the reason why Henrik Lundqvist hasn't won a Stanley Cup, it might be the players, because it's definitely not the management. In the past few seasons, the Rangers management team has tried to boost their chances of winning a Stanley Cup by adding St. Louis, and then they added Nash, and then they just recently added Yandle. The management team has added some good players to try to help this team win a Stanley Cup. It just hasn't happened yet. So I think the plan for the New York Rangers is to not rebuild, but retool, focus on signing those 3 big RFAs and figure out what you're going to do with Rick Nash. So that's my video on the New York Rangers. Thank you very much for watching. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. It would mean so much to me. Please like my page on Facebook. It's all about hockey. The link to that is down below. And please email me any questions if you just want to talk hockey to theshannonclan19@gmail.com. And I'll see you guys back here for the next episode.